Hi everybody, this is Shlomo. I'm still alive. I know it's been a long time, but you see, they say that it rains only once in Vancouver. Starts in November and stops in May. So I was just trying to find a sunny day. Yeah. No, the truth is that I don't do a video until I get excited about what I want to say, and I feel that you will get excited as well. So it looks like today I'm ready. So what I want to talk about today is mostly about why your stubborn reality doesn't change, even though you listen, read, and watch Neville Goddard, Vadim Zeland, Napoleon Hill, Nightingale, many other teachers, but you still don't manifest what you desire. So I will talk about changing your reality both over time, which we call manifesting, and how to do it instantly in case of an emergency. This I call the sharp turning. I will not get too much into the big picture today, just a little bit. And in future videos, I guess I will give you more information why the things happen, why they happen, and why we can actually manipulate it. So let's start with the ultimate big picture. Just because I thought it was interesting to know, and I even went to the effort of purchasing some Lego pieces from Lego. And what you see here really has no order or function. It's just 12 pieces of Lego. You see, all kind of pieces. I just put them together because Lego, as you know, connects. Yeah, there is two pieces here that don't come apart. Okay, so there's 12 pieces of Lego here. And what science is telling us actually is that these 12 pieces of Lego, they call it elementary particles, but I thought it's not very different from Lego because it connects in many ways. So those 12 elementary particles, and if you like, you can say 24 because there is the antimatter, if you can find it. So these 12 or 24 pieces actually made our whole universe, the whole reality here. Everything that you can see, smell, sense, think about is all made of these 12 pieces. Now, to me, it doesn't make much sense. And the part that doesn't make sense here is that what we are told, or this is the science today, is that those pieces actually assembled themselves. It's not like somebody, if somebody actually with very high intelligence took those 12 pieces, maybe could assemble many things. But what we are told is that those pieces assembled themselves. Nobody assembled them. And I actually put that question on Quora, and somebody replied and said, well, you know, there is 24 letters, and look how many books they created. But what he didn't realize is that those books were not created by the letters, right? Some higher intelligence, in this case a human, put them in certain sequences to create those books. Anyway, that just was something that was on my mind. And I wanted to kind of share it with you. Because I want you to be curious. Like, I want you to wake up in the morning and say, why? Why? Not how, why? So, do you realize that everything that ever happened on this earth, and this is except natural disasters or natural phenomenon where mountains or islands were created as a result of a natural event, everything that relates to humans was actually created and caused by humans. Where we are today and the reality we live in, whether you refer to science or cars or where we reside, where we live, how we move from place to place, how we think, everything, all the tools and everything else that we are using and is actually has been created by humans that created a reality, right? I even believe that Jules Verne, who wrote many science fiction books 200 years ago or so, he actually caused those things to happen. He was writing about submarines and airplanes and rockets and many other things, and they actually manifested. So let's go down to what we want to talk about, which is today I want to really show you how to change your reality. And you know, the greatest secret, this is something that Vadim Zeland actually said, is the author of Reality Transurfing books. The greatest secret on this particular topic of creating realities, manifesting, is right on the surface in front of your eyes. And that's the reason why you don't see it. Because you're always looking deeper or in some hidden places. The big secret is right in front of your eyes. And you will understand when I'm done here. You see, in our reality, and when I say reality is everything, that includes the universe, that includes you, consciousness, everything that exists is in our reality, okay? So, in our reality, everything that happens is normal. There are no miracles. The miracle is actually the miracle is actually the fact that it is what it is. That's the miracle. But in the day-to-day functioning and in this reality, whatever happens, there are no miracles. Everything is kind of looks like it's a consequence of something or continuation of something, and even things that are totally unbelievable, they happen that way. They don't just, the reality doesn't just change from black to green. It goes slowly through all the colors in between, and that's why to us, it looks like normal. And that's really the biggest secret here, because it's critical for you to understand that because all miracles are executed as a natural and linear process, the way to create them, or the way to create the reality you want, is exactly the same way in opposite. So it means that you have to use the same process. You have to do it through nature in an ordinary way. Okay? Unless it's an emergency. If you are facing a life and death situation and you have to react within a fraction of a second, then you have to change your reality immediately. And we will discuss that later in this video. I call it the sharp turning. We'll get into it later. You see, like I said, to create the reality you want to manifest, you don't use magic, you don't use crystals, you don't use any wooden crosses. You don't use any color smoke or chanting or any other magic. And that's the secret. So you are asking, why is it that after I listen, read, and watch all these great teachers, Neville Goddard, Vadim Zeland, Napoleon Hill, Nightingale, many others, I am still here watching Shlomo? That's a good question. Here's a paradox. You see, the people who do it, the people who can manifest and create huge realities, not just for themselves, but for all the other ones, they don't really know the theory of how to do it. They just do it. And the ones who know all the theories, the ones who listen to all these teachers, don't really know how to do it. So let's analyze the ones who could and can do it. Because the best way to learn is to observe and see how others did it successfully. And keep in mind that there is no good and bad when we speak about realities. So Hitler is not different from Elon Musk in this respect, or worse, because we are talking about creating reality, not what reality they created. That's a different story, okay? So, for example, take Hitler. He manifested a reality that, say, to 99.9% of the people in the world would look like impossible. How can you do that? If he said his vision, if he presented his vision, say, before he became anybody, nobody would even listen to him. People would just walk by and say, oh, crazy man there, right? But what did he do? See, if you watch, and I studied Hitler in depth because from, again, no good and bad, from the reality creating perspective, he's actually quite, I would say, even amazing. Because if you watch any of his speeches, when he goes, wah, 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 right? The world doesn't exist. All that exists at this point is him and his reality. And he actually managed to get everybody into that reality, right? Now, look, for example, again, at Trump, which is a similar case. If he told anybody before, say, 2016, 2015, that he wants to be the president, well, because he's rich and powerful, maybe they wouldn't laugh at him, but nobody would take him seriously. So what did he do? He also sealed himself into a bubble. And I will explain later. This bubble idea is a very good one. So he sealed himself in a bubble, and he completely ignored what people say. Obama made fun of him in one of those parties with the Lion King video there and all that. But he totally sealed himself, and he lived in his own bubble. And in that bubble, he was working to become the president. And you know what? He did, right? Elon Musk is the same way. What did he do? He decided he had 150 million or something, from what I read, that he received as part of the sale of PayPal. And he went to compete against the giants of space and the giants of car industry. In this business, you don't go with 150 million. You don't even go with $1 billion. This is like change. But he said, look, I am going to force these guys to create, to make electric cars, and I'm going to take people to Mars. That was his thing. And then he sealed himself. He didn't listen to, I'm sure that many, many people told him, hey, Elon, are you crazy? Like, what are you doing? No, he sealed himself, right? So, the key, actually, before I go into the details how to do it, I just want to bring something again from a big picture. You see, we humans have the potential, but it's a real potential, to create any reality we want in this in this reality, in this universe of ours, right? If you don't believe me, I'll give you an example. You know, this fellow called Kim Jong-un? Well, he's the leader of North Korea, right? Today, as we speak, he could destroy the world. He could start a world war, and he has enough nuclear weapons and delivery system to actually destroy probably very big portion of the US and other Western countries if he likes. And probably at the end of the day, he would destroy the world if that kind of a war starts. And you know, in his government, in his system, he doesn't need any second opinion. It's not like a democracy or even a dictatorship. Even Putin cannot do it that easily, right? Because there's generals and there's this, and he doesn't just do what he wants. But this guy, Kim Jong-un, he doesn't ask anybody. He can do whatever he likes. He gets up in the morning and he says, you know what? I'm tired of this bullshit, right? I'm going to destroy the world. He can do it. So what I'm trying to tell you is that humans have the power to create any reality. You have to realize that. Because that's the ultimate reality, to destroy this whole reality, right? And the reason for it, and that comes from the big picture, and like I said, I'm not going to get into this today. I don't want to divert into God and all this. But God, as I said in my previous video, it's called the chapter 1 of the book, God is actually experiencing this reality through us. And before he stepped in this reality, he made sure that as a human, he can actually change or create or do anything he likes, which is actually us. So that's the reason in that context why humans can actually do anything. And the tools I'm giving you today could be actually extremely powerful because you would be able to change the whole world too. And the reason I'm giving you these tools is because I use these tools and I will use these tools to change the world. The only difference between you and me is the content, what we are going to put into this. Right? You can put into it a new Tesla or anything you want, and I may put into it something that will change the reality for the whole world, will change the people. That's the difference. But the tools I'm giving you here today are the same tools I'm using and will use. So let's analyze. We actually did analyze. So we looked at Hitler, we looked at Trump, and we looked at Elon Musk. We looked at Kim Jong-un, and there are a number of commonalities here among all these individuals. And I want to talk about actually one very important attribute that they all have. They all managed to seal themselves into this bubble that I talked about before. The bubble of their own reality, and start building from there. You see, if you remember, in one of my previous videos, I talked about this horizontal line, that virtual line that sits here in front of you, and everything under that line you can do. Start your car, go to a movie, have breakfast, get the newspaper, all you can do, right? But anything that's above the line for you, you cannot do. At least they perceive that you cannot do. And that's why you cannot do it, right? Now, which part of your reality is under your control and which one is not? And how do we shift that control? How do you shift that line? Because if you eliminate the line, you will become God. Then everything is possible, right? So all you can do is shift that line. So let's look at the monk. What does the monk do? The monk basically seals himself in a reality of his own. He's totally disconnected from everything, and he creates everything in his reality by himself. Now, he does not influence any other people because the content he puts into this bubble is only for himself. There is no content in there that will influence anybody else, right? Now, the bubble, the sealing of the bubble is the key component of starting your reality to happen. Okay, because if you try to create a reality like any of those other people I mentioned, and then you start to listen to your grandma and to your sister and to your friends saying, hey, stop this nonsense, come, then you cannot do it. You have to, first of all, you have to seal that bubble that you are in, okay? And like I said before, there are two critical parameters in that bubble. It's how well it's sealed and what content you put into it. And provided you actually execute it, that content can ultimately change the whole world. So once you created that bubble and sealed it, and you decided on the content, what's the next step? The next step is, like Nike says, just do it. And that's the big thing, you see? That's why I said before that in order to create any miracle, you have to do the same thing the miracle does. You have to masquerade in a normal way, not in a miracle. You don't do any crystals or anything. What you have to do is, I will read you something here, a quote from Deuteronomy. I don't know how to spell this, in the Old Testament. It's God says there about loving God. It says, with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. So once you created the bubble and you decided on the content, this is what you have to do. Like, no nonsense. You just have to go and do it. This is the only way you will execute that reality. You cannot do it by dreaming, by sitting on the beach, by lighting candles, by creating slides in your mind. This will do nothing. This will just help you maybe to sit here on Facebook and exchange ideas with other people, but you will still be in the same place. Like, your reality will not change. So the only way you're going to do it is when you get into the bubble, create the content, and then, like I said, with all your heart, all your soul, and all your might. Okay? Just do it. Now, that's critical. If you don't do that, it's not going to happen. If you look at Elon Musk, he slept on the floor in his plant when the business was going to fail with this Tesla 3. He couldn't make enough cars. He had lots of issues, but he actually did it exactly like it says here. Now, when you start doing this, in the process, you actually will, if you think about it, that line that was blocking you from before, it will gradually go up and go up, and everything that you thought was impossible will come under the line. And it will become possible. And again, this magic is not going to happen like in frames. It will happen linearly to you. Like to you, it will be linear. You will see like it's changing, and you will always find reasons why it happened, conventional reasons. You will not attribute it to any kind of a miracle. Because like I said, the secret is right in front of your eyes. Now, the content you put into the bubble, provided you execute it, determines the size of the bubble. So like I said, the monk, his bubble is just for himself. It's small, right? But if you take other people like Elon Musk or Trump, they expanded the bubble on many, many millions of people and changed the reality for everybody. Now, just so that you understand that the general reality, there is no such thing, but we imagine that there is some kind of a general reality that everybody can see the same things, right? There is the moon, the sun. The general reality is created by a democratic process. Now, in a democratic process, not everybody votes. I would say that probably 99.999% of the population in this democracy don't vote. And the ones who do vote determine the reality for everybody, including you and me. So people like Hitler or Trump, they actually go and vote. And because there are no other votes, there's only those few, they create the reality for everybody. Now, if you ask if two people vote for the same thing, who wins? Well, the way the rules are set up in our reality, the one that wins is the one that tries to create a reality which is the closest to how the rules like it. Now, I'm not saying God, because like I said, God right now is in humanity. He's not separate. He doesn't sit there and run the world. So whatever rules were set up in advance, the closer you are to those rules, the closer you are to follow those rules, the more chances there are that your reality will win over the reality created by other people. Now I'm talking about the global reality. Okay. Now let's talk about changing reality like instantly when you are under imminent threat. Whether it's some kind of a illness that's going to kill you in a month or a week, or you are in a almost accident and you are rolling towards some kind of a cliff. How do you change the reality at that very moment? Because if you don't do it like this, there is no more reality for you. Maybe there is, but we don't know what it is. Now, this is what I call the sharp turning. And I'll remind you of something that I introduced in my previous videos. And that was, I called it the iPad line. So if you look here, remember I said to you, this is a program where you can draw on the screen of this iPhone. And I'm going and creating a line here, right? And I'm asking you, did I just draw a line on the screen? And you say, yes, of course. And I say, no, I didn't. Because what I really did is I went over those sensors that are built into the screen with my finger, and then the computer inside that iPhone sensed where I was touching, and because the software is programmed that way, it came back and it drew that line with many, many little black dots. So in reality again, I did not draw the line. I just instructed the computer to draw that line for me. But anybody looking from outside, including myself, if I didn't know how that works, if I went to some people that never seen any technology, they would 100% assume that I drew it on the screen. And this is how our reality is created. You see, we assume 100% that we create our reality. But that's not the case. I mean, we do create our reality, but not directly, just like that line. We send a signal, I call it to the collective consciousness, some people say unconsciousness, whatever the system is, and in return you get your reality. Okay? Now keep in mind that because the reality comes to you from outside, say it's a computer, it's using some predictive technologies. Just like, you know, how do we compress video and things like this? The computer predicts what's going to be next, and it already has a bunch of predictions ahead. And your reality is created the same way. The collective consciousness, because most people, they go in a smooth line, you know, they do almost the same thing every day, right? So the predictive reality just keeps coming to you. But why do I call it the sharp turning? Because if you do a sudden change, but really a sharp change, that predictive reality is not going to predict anymore. It will break. And it will have to give you a different reality. And let me show you what I mean. I'll try to draw it here. So let's say this is your reality. You keep drawing that line and you create a reality and you're going up, 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 up. And then the reality predicts that you will go up here, right? But no, you decide all of a sudden, because something happened, you make a sharp turn. Now there is turn to the right and turn to the left, and I'll explain in a minute what I mean by that. But when you make that sharp turn, the next reality is going to start here now. All of a sudden it will be here. It will be a different reality, not that one anymore. Totally different reality. And I'll give you some examples. And also I'll explain why I say there is left and right turn. And you know, small changes will not do it, because it will not break it out of the reality. So if you try to turn a little bit, it will keep pulling up. So let me give you some examples. You know, when I was 11 years old or something like that, I lived in Israel, and in my childhood I used to be, at least 50% of the time, I was sick with some kind of a cold or a flu or something. I don't know why, but that was my life. I was always sick. And those things lasted. Like if I got any cold or flu, it would go for 2-3 weeks, sometimes for a couple of months. I would cough and fever. And so I was in one of those episodes. I was very sick. I was at home. I was in bed. And all of a sudden, my uncle, my father's brother, who lived in Italy at that time, and Italy at that time was like a first world country, while Israel was a third or fourth world country. This is now, we're talking about 1959 probably. And you know, the toys I played with would be a stick and a little wheel that you run in the field. He came over to visit. I didn't know he was coming. And he brought me a gift. He brought me a real camera. A small miniature one, but real camera with film and everything in it. I got so excited that within an hour I wasn't sick. Like I was totally healed. I had no cold, I had nothing. I was just busy with the camera, and my reality changed. So what happened here? This was that sharp turn, because before that I was totally into that illness. I was thinking about my fever and how much I suffer, and I don't go to school, and my friend. And all of a sudden, my mind got cleared, and all I was thinking about is this unbelievable device that he brought me and what I can do with it. And wow, that was like unbelievable, crazy. So this is an example of a sharp right turn. Now, right and left, it's arbitrary. But we always say that right is right. So that's a right? I'll give you another example, and this is a real story. In Israel, in Tel Aviv, the main hospital there, I happen to know the manager of the cancer department. And he told me a very interesting story. A few years ago, a lady came down from one of the villages up north. She's like 50 years old, well educated. She was a teacher, and she came down and she had a swollen ankle, like two or three times the normal size. And her physician sent her to the hospital because he suspected something serious. So she came there, and they diagnosed her with a very, very aggressive cancer. And they did all the necessary tests, and they came to the conclusion that if they don't amputate her leg like within a week, this is going to kill her, because it came to that size within a couple of weeks. So she was admitted to the hospital, and they were going to amputate her leg the next day. It was that urgent. Well, for whatever reason, I don't remember the exact reason, strike or some technical issues, they couldn't do it the next day. So it got postponed to the Monday, because it was already Friday, and then Saturday, is a holiday. They got postponed for Monday, and Monday they couldn't do it for some other reason, and got postponed again. Then on the third time, again they couldn't do it. This is all within like a week. So she got up and she said, she was, I think she was Christian. She was a Christian Arab. And she said, God is telling me that I should not do this operation. And she said, I want to go home. They told her, you're committing suicide, you're going to die, but they cannot force her to stay there. So she left the hospital and she went home. Okay, this is how he's telling me the story. 3 months later, she comes back. And she arrives in his office. And the first thing he says, oh, you're still alive, wow. Would you like to do the operation now? And she said, no, I didn't come for that. I just wanted you to check if I still have that cancer. So he looks at her leg there at the ankle, and there's no swelling, there's nothing. Whoa. So then they do, again, tests, and they even go back to the original test to see that they make sure they didn't make a mistake. But she doesn't have anything. There's only a little scar or something, but she has nothing. So they ask her, what did you do? How do you do it? They actually later hired a bus, and the whole team from the hospital went to her village because they thought she's eating some secret herb or something. Anyway, but she said, after the third time, I realized, that's what she believed, that God doesn't really want me to have cancer or to have an operation. I basically, she didn't say that, but I said, my reality changed. All I was focused on was that miracle that happened, that this is what God wants me to do, and that was my focus. And I went home, and I prayed, and I just looked at it that way. I didn't look anymore at, I have this, and what's going to happen, I'll have no leg, and maybe I'll die. That wasn't on my mind at all. So that to me is also an example of a sharp turn. Again, to the right. And then you start a new reality, and that tumor is gone. Now, why I say right and left? Because the left turn would be, something happens and you get terrified, you get scared, you imagine, now I gotta die, and you know what, you die. Or you say, this thing is gonna fall on me, I'm going to fall off that roof. And once you believe and you feel that this is gonna happen, because now you made a sharp turn again to the left, to the wrong side, that actually happens. So that can work both ways. But if you ever have or face a situation like this, and we will talk about it more, and I will even you'll be able to get in touch with me, and I will show you, maybe help you how to do it, because sometimes it's very hard to imagine how do I create that sharp turn. So this is how to change your reality in a really, really quick way when you have no time. Another tip that I want to give you about creating reality, and you can expand that, I'll just give you the core of it. In the Kabbalah, which is the Jewish mystic interpretation of the Bible, there is a discussion there about interpreting dreams. And what it says, in a nutshell, is that whichever way you interpret a dream for yourself or for somebody else, this is how it's going to turn. So the dream could have always two meanings, good or bad, positive or negative. Whichever way you interpret that dream, this is what's going to happen. So this is something that the Kabbalah says. So keep that in mind. So I think this is what I wanted to say today about creating reality. And I'll say one more thing here, is that for those of you who cannot create the reality, I will be available through my Healing Olive site and also the facereading.me site. I will be able to help you and do it for you, together with you. And how I'm going to do it is as follows. If anybody faces a life and death situation or any threat that on their existence, I will do it absolutely for free. I will do the healing olive, and I'll talk to that person through the facereading.me site, and we'll do it all together. It will all be free. Anybody else, I will charge for it. Okay? And here's a quiz for you, just before I go. As I said before, and you probably agree with me, is that every individual, every person in the world has their own reality, which is unique to that person. Okay? Now, we have around 7.8 billion people, and my question is this. Beside the 7.8 billion, or whatever number it is, of realities that these people experience, is there any other reality? And if so, who is experiencing it, and where is it? Think about that one. So this is it for today, and next time, hopefully it will be sooner. Like I said, the reason it takes a long time, because if I don't have anything that I feel is important or new or that I really want to share, I just cannot do a video. I spent 3 months trying to do a video, and it didn't come until today. And today I did it just like that. I didn't even plan it too much. So what we'll do next time is we'll deal with the big picture, with the reasons of why all these things are happening that way, and what are the causes, and we'll go more into the structure of our reality. So until then, have a great 2021 and beyond, all the years that come after it. And we'll see you then. Thank you.